What happens when ambition turns into a deadly obsession? In a quiet Ohio town, a small paint store became the scene of a nightmare. Blood on the counter. A crumpled note scribbled with numbers: 90,000, 45,000, 30,000. $50,000 missing from a locked safe. And two bodies left behind, a respected owner and a young cashier with her whole life ahead of her. This isn't just a robbery gone wrong. It's a story of greed, betrayal, and a plan that spiraled into chaos. Tonight, we dive deep into the chilling true crime case that shook Dayton to its core: the paint store murders. Who pulled the trigger, and what drove them to destroy two lives? Stick with us as we unravel every twist, every clue, and a motive that'll leave you stunned. Before we start, hit that like button if you love a good mystery, and drop a comment right now. What's your first guess about who the killer is? Your theory might just be spot on. Subscribe and ring the bell so you don't miss the shocking truth coming up. Picture Dayton, Ohio, 2024, a quiet city where strip malls hum with everyday life, families grabbing coffee, contractors picking up supplies. At the heart of one of these malls sits Brightco Paints, a family-owned store that's been a local staple for years. It's the kind of place where you'd expect friendly banter over paint swatches, not a crime that'd make headlines. Beneath the bright cans of color, tensions were brewing, ambitions clashing, secrets piling up. Brightco wasn't just selling paint. It was a pressure cooker waiting to explode. Why? Let's meet the people caught in this deadly web. First, there's Henry Walsh, 45, the driven owner of Brightco. Charismatic, stubborn, and fiercely protective of his business, Henry built the store from nothing. To him, it wasn't just a shop, it was his legacy. But his need for control. That rubs some people the wrong way. Then there's Tammy Reed, just 19, the cashier with a warm smile. Tammy was saving every penny for college, dreaming of a bigger life. She was the kind of girl who'd stay late to help, never suspecting it had cost her everything. Now, meet Mike Bennett, 32, a former salesman at Brightco. Charming and ambitious, Mike had a knack for landing big clients, but a chip on his shoulder bigger than his deals. His wife, Laura Bennett, 30, was the store's ex-accountant. Meticulous, sharp, and quietly resentful, Laura turned Brightco's books into a well-oiled machine. Together they had big dreams Henry wouldn't let them chase. There's also Sarah Walsh, Henry's wife, 42, the steady hand behind his hustle. She loved him fiercely, but did she know the enemies he was making? Running the store day to day was Tom Carter, 38, Brightco's manager. Loyal to Henry, Tom knew every dollar that flowed through the place, maybe too much for his own good. Outside the store, Karen Reed, Tammy's mom, 50, raised her daughter alone, pinning her hopes on Tammy's bright future. And then there's Ed Mason, 48, a gruff contractor who locked horns with Henry over a shady deal. Each of these people played a role in Brightco's rise and its fall. By October 2024, Brightco Paints was thriving, raking in contracts worth millions. But success came at a cost. Resentments festered, promises were broken, and someone was about to snap. What pushed them over the edge? Let's find out. It's October 15th, 2024, just past 8 p.m. in Dayton, Ohio. The strip mall around Brightco Paints is dark, most shops shuttered for the night. Inside the store, the fluorescent lights flicker over a scene straight out of a nightmare. Henry Walsh, the owner, lies slumped behind the counter, a bullet hole in his chest. Blood pools around him, staining the floor. Nearby, Tammy Reed, the young cashier, is crumpled by the coffee machine, her throat slashed, her eyes frozen in shock. $50,000, cash from a big client deal, is gone from the safe. On Henry's desk, a crumpled note sits untouched, scribbled with numbers: 90,000, 45,000, 30,000, 10,000, 4,000. What do they mean? A plan? A debt? Or something far darker? Police fled the scene, led by Detective Rachel Brooks, a no-nonsense cop with a knack for spotting lies. The air's thick with questions. Two coffee mugs sit on the counter, one half drunk, the other untouched. Was Henry meeting someone he trusted? The safe's lock is intact. No signs of forced entry. Whoever did this knew exactly where to look. Rachel's team finds 2 weapons were used. A revolver for Henry, a knife for Tammy. Why 2? Was it a team effort or a crime that spiraled out of control? There's no CCTV in the store. Henry was old school, trusted his gut over cameras. That trust just cost him his life. The first call comes from a delivery driver who saw the shop's lights on late and peeked inside. He's shaken, stammering about too much blood. Then Karen Reed, Tammy's mom, arrives, drawn by a bad feeling when Tammy didn't text her after work. Her screams echo as she sees her daughter's body. Ishi was just a kid, Karen sobs. She was saving for college. Who does this? Rachel takes note. Tammy wasn't supposed to be there past 7 p.m. Why did she stay? Early theories swirl. A robbery gone wrong? The cash suggests it, but the brutality feels personal. A disgruntled client may be cheated by one of Henry's tough deals, or someone inside Brightco, someone who knew the safe's combination. Those numbers on the note nag at Rachel, they don't add up to 50 grand, or anything obvious. Are they a clue to the killer's motive, or just a distraction? One thing's clear, this wasn't random. Someone planned this. Someone with a grudge. Before we dig deeper, let's pause. Why 2 weapons for 2 victims? Was this a cold-blooded plot or a moment of panic? Drop your thoughts in the comments. What's your gut telling you about this crime? The sun rises over Dayton, but the chill of last night's murders lingers. Detective Rachel Brooks stands in bright co-paints, staring at that cryptic note. 90,000, 45,000, 30,000, 30,000, 10,000, 4,000. It's not a tally of the stolen 50 grand. It's something else, something that's gnawing at her. The crime scene's been swept for prints, fibers, anything, but it's clean. Too clean. Rachel knows this wasn't a smash and grab. Whoever killed Henry Walsh and Tammy Red had a plan, and they're not done covering their tracks. Rachel's team hits the ground running. They set up roadblocks across Dayton, hoping the killers haven't slipped away in the night. Phone records are pulled, witnesses questioned, and every employee's alibi. The strip mall's quiet by 7 p.m. most nights, but someone saw something. A couple lingering in the parking lot at dusk, faces hard to make out. Were they scoping the place or just passing through? Rachel's gut says they're key, but for now, she's got suspects closer to home. First up is Tom Carter, Brightco's manager, 38, the guy who kept the store humming. Tom knew the safe's combination and the exact time cash drops happened, like the 50,000 delivered yesterday. He's cagey when Rachel questions him, sweat beading on his forehead. Left at 6, he insists. Grabbed a burger at Dino's Diner. But his phone pinged a tower near Brightco at 7:15 p.m., right around the murder window. Tom swears it's a glitch, says he forgot his jacket and swung by but didn't go in. Rachel presses. You knew Henry was sitting on cash. Did you want a cut? Tom's eyes dart away, but a diner receipt backs his story. Barely. He's not off the hook, though. Tom admits Henry was a tough boss, always saying no to raises. Enough to push him over the edge. Maybe. Next, there's Sarah Walsh, Henry's wife, 42, now a widow staring down a future without her rock. Sarah stands to inherit Brightco, and whispers around town say she and Henry clashed over selling the business. He wanted to expand. She wanted stability. Could she have wanted him gone? Rachel finds her at home, eyes red from crying. Henry was everything to me, Sarah chokes out. We argued, sure, but I'd never heard him. Her alibi's solid. 6 women at her book club swear she was there from 6 to 9 p.m. Still, Rachel wonders, did Sarah know more about Henry's enemies than she's letting on? Grief can hide secrets. Then there's Ed Mason, 48, a contractor with a temper and a grudge. Ed supplied Brightco for years, but a $100,000 deal went south last month. Henry shorted him, claiming bad materials. Ed threatened to sue, loud enough for half the strip mall to hear. He screwed me over, Ed growls when Rachel tracks him down at a dive bar. He claims he was drinking during the murders, but the bartender's memory's fuzzy, says Ed was there. Maybe. Worse, a neighbor saw Ed's truck near Brightco that evening. Rachel leans in. Where were you really, Ed? He clams up. But there's no blood, no cash, no weapons in his truck. a dead end, or a clever cover. The deeper Rachel digs, the messier it gets. Those numbers on the note don't match salaries, invoices, or debts. Were they a negotiation gone wrong? A hit list? She rechecks the crime scene details. 2 coffee mugs. 1 used, 1 not. Henry was expecting company, someone he didn't lock the door against. Tammy, poor Tammy, wasn't even supposed to be there. She'd stayed late, maybe to restock shelves or help Henry. Karen, Reed's voice haunts Rachel, her plea from last night. My girl was saving for college. She didn't deserve this. Tammy's death feels like collateral damage, but why? What did she see? A new lead trickles in. A delivery kid mentions hearing raised voices at Brightco around 6:45 p.m., just before closing. Not enough to pinpoint anyone, but it tightens the timeline. Rachel's team polls employee records looking for anyone with a motive. Tom's still squirrely, Sarah's too perfect, and Ed's too angry. But that couple in the parking lot keeps nagging at her. Who were they? Rachel tells her team to widen the net, check ex-employees, old clients, anyone Henry crossed. This wasn't random. Someone knew Brightco inside out. Hold up, let's take a breath. 3 suspects, a missing couple, and a note that doesn't add up. Who's your money on Tom, Sarah, or Ed? Or is that mystery pair the real key? Drop your guess in the comments and let's see if you're ahead of Detective Brooks. Detective Rachel Brooks is chasing shadow. The murders at Brightco Paints have Dayton buzzing, but the clues, those cryptic numbers, the missing 50 grand, the 2 coffee mugs, are stubborn, refusing to point to a clear killer. Tom Carter's alibi holds, just barely. Sarah Walsh's grief seems real. Ed Mason's anger is loud, but there's no blood on his hands. That couple spotted in the parking lot feels like the missing piece, but they're ghosts. No names, no faces. Rachel's starting to wonder if the answer isn't in the present, but buried in Brightco's past. And that's when the investigation takes a sharp turn. Let's rewind to 2023, a year before the murders. Brightco Paints was on the rise, and 2 employees were its secret weapons. Mike Bennett, 32, a salesman with a silver tongue, and his wife, Laura Bennett, 30, an accountant who could make numbers sing. Mike was a deal closer, landing contracts that turned Brightco from a mom-and-pop shop into a million-dollar player. Construction firms, developers, they all signed because of him. Laura, meanwhile, was the brains behind the scenes. She rebuilt Brightco's messy books, caught tax breaks, and saved thousands. Together they were a powerhouse, dreaming of bigger things. A stake in the business, a slice of the profits they'd earned. But Henry Walsh saw it differently. To him, Mike and Laura were hired help, not partners. Mike would stride into Henry's office, brimming with ideas. We're doubling your sales, he'd say. You give us a share, 5%, that's fair. Laura backed him up, her spreadsheet showing millions in growth. Henry wasn't having it. You're on salary, he'd snap. Lie, take the risks, I keep the rewards. He offered raises, $2,000 a month for Mike, $1,000 for Laura. Peanuts compared to the contracts Mike closed. It stung. Mike felt like he was building Henry's empire while getting crumbs. Laura's quiet fury grew. She'd given Brightco her all, and Henry treated her like a clerk. By late 2023, things boiled over. Mike pushed one last time for a partnership. Henry laughed him off. You want equity. Start your own store. That was it. Mike and Laura quit on the spot, slamming the door on Brightco. Word around Dayton was they left town, maybe headed to Cleveland or Columbus. But they didn't forget. Mike's charm hid a growing obsession. He tallied every deal he'd won, convinced Henry owed him $500,000 in his Aesop profits. Laura, ever the planner, fed that fire, crunching numbers in her head, calculating what they deserved. They weren't just angry, they were plotting. Back in the present, Rachel's team digs into Brightco's old employee files. Mike and Laura's names pop up, along with a bitter note from Henry. A good riddance, too greedy. Rachel's antennae go up. Greedy enough to kill? She runs their names through the system. No recent hits, but a tip comes in. A burner phone call to Tom Carter's desk, traced to a motel in Cleveland. The motel clerk remembers a couple matching Mike and Laura's description, and the call links to Laura's sister, who swears she didn't know what they were up to. Rachel's pulse quickens. Were Mike and Laura back in Dayton? Did they know Henry kept cash in the safe? The investigation pivots. Rachel sends officers to check motels around Dayton, hoping to catch the Bennetts before they vanish again. She re-examines the crime scene in her mind. Those coffee mugs, the open safe. Henry let someone in, someone he recognized. Mike and Laura worked for him for years. He'd have opened the door without a second thought. But why Tammy? Rachel visits Karen Reed, Tammy's mom, who's clutching a photo of her daughter at the cemetery. Tammy stayed late to help, Karen whispers. She was always helping. Why'd they take her? Yeah. Rachel's throat tightens. Tammy wasn't the target. She was just there, pouring coffee, caught in someone's rage. Another clue surfaces. A strip mall worker recalls seeing a car like Mike's old sedan near Brightco a week before the murders, cruising slowly like it was casing the place. Rachel's team pulls traffic cam footage, but it's grainy. Nothing solid yet. Still, the pieces are aligning. Mike and Laura had motive, opportunity, and knowledge of Brightco's routines, but motive isn't proof. Rachel needs the murder weapons, the cash, or a confession to nail them. Let's hit pause. Things are heating up. Mike and Laura sound like they've got a serious grudge, but are they killers? Or is Rachel chasing the wrong lead? Comment below. What would you do if your boss cheated you out of your dreams? Stick around. The truth is closer than you think. Detective Rachel Brooks is closing in. The murders at Brightco Paints have left Dayton reeling, and the clues are finally pointing somewhere solid. Mike and Laura Bennett, the ex-employees with a grudge, are no longer just names on a file. They're suspects on the run. That burner phone call traced to a Cleveland motel. The witness spotting a car like Mike's near the strip mall. The fact they knew Henry Walsh kept cash in the safe. It's all adding up. But Rachel needs hard evidence. Something to tie them to the blood on Brightco's floor. Time's ticking, and she's not letting them slip away. Rachel's team moves fast. They blitz motels across Ohio, narrowing in on a rundown spot just outside Columbus, 60 miles from Dayton. A clerk there ID a couple matching Mike and Laura's description. Checked in 2 days ago, paid cash, kept to themselves. Rachel's gut screams it's them. She leads a raid at dawn, her heart pounding as officers surround the motel. Room 12's door swings open, and there they are. Mike, bleary-eyed, hands raised. Laura, stone-faced, clutching a duffel bag. Inside the bag, nothing, no cash, no weapons. But Rachel notices Mike's eyes darting, Laura's fingers trembling. They're hiding something. The interrogation room is cold, the air thick with tension. Rachel starts with Mike laying out the timeline. You were at Brightco that night, weren't you? You knew Henry stayed late, knew the safe was loaded. Mike squirms, sticking to denials. We left Dayton a year ago, he mutters. Haven't seen Henry since, but Rachel's done playing. She slides over a photo of the cryptic note, 90,000, 45,000, 30,000. 30,000. Or numbers, Mike? Calculating what Henry owed you? His jaw tightens, and that's when she knows she's got him. Laura's next, her cool cracking under pressure. Rachel leans in. That Tammy Reed was 19, Laura. She was pouring coffee, not hurting you. Why'd she have to die? Laura's eyes glisten, but she stays silent. Rachel doubles down, revealing the motel clerk's tip and the car sighting. We're searching every inch of that route, she says. We'll find the gun, the knife, the cash. That breaks Mike. He slumps, voice low. It wasn't supposed to go like that. Henry, he stole our future. Laura cuts in, her voice sharp. He owed us. We just wanted what was ours. The truth spills out. October 15th, 2024, 7 p.m. Mike and Laura walked into Brightco, posing as old friends dropping by. Henry, surprised but not suspicious, let them in. Tammy was there, restocking shelves, oblivious. Mike locked the door, pulled a revolver from his jacket. We want our share, he demanded. A 50 grand now, Henry scoffed, same as always. You're not partners. You're nothing. The words hit Mike like a match to gasoline. He raised the gun, shouting about the millions he'd brought in. Henry laughed, then stopped when the first shot rang out, dropping him dead. Tammy heard the noise, rushed in and froze, seeing Henry's body. Laura panicked, grabbing a knife from her bag, a backup plan they'd hoped not to use. As she saw us, Laura whispers in the interrogation, tears falling. He'd have told. Before Tammy could scream, Laura slashed her throat, the girl collapsing in a heap. Mike and Laura tore open the safe, grabbed the $50,000 and ran, leaving that note behind. Laura's scribbled dream of heir profits, never meant to be found. They thought they'd gotten away clean. Rachel's team scours a creek near the motel, acting on a hunch. Divers pull up a revolver and a knife, caked in mud but matching the murder weapons. Ballistics confirm the gun fired the bullet in Henry's chest. Blood traces on the knife match Tammy's. The cash is gone. Mike admits they burned through it, paying debts and hiding out. It's over. Rachel feels no triumph, just a heavy weight. 2 lives snuffed out for a grudge and a bag of money. The news hits Dayton hard. Sarah Walsh, Henry's wife, collapses when Rachel tells her, sobbing. They worked for him. He trusted them. And for what? Greed. Karen Reed, Tammy's mom, stares blankly at the police station, eyeing Tammy's old college application. My girl died for nothing, she whispers. A nothing. Before we move on, let's stop. Did you see this twist coming? Mike and Laura, the golden couple, turning killers? What would you have done in their shoes? Walk away? Or fight for what you thought was yours? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and let's unpack the fallout next. The interrogation room falls silent, but the weight of Mike and Laura Bennett's confession lingers. Detective Rachel Brooks steps out, her mind replaying their words. He owed us $50,000 and 2 lives. Henry Walsh and Tammy Reed, gone for a grudge that festered too long. The evidence is ironclad. The revolver and knife pulled from the creek, Mike's fingerprints, Tammy's blood. There's no running from this. Dayton, Ohio waits for justice, but no verdict can undo the pain left behind. In spring 2025, Mike and Laura face trial in a packed Montgomery County courtroom. The prosecution lays it bare. First-degree murder for Henry, premeditated in cold. Second degree for Tammy, a panicked act that didn't spare her life. Robbery charges pile on for the stolen $50,000. Mike tries to play the victim, claiming Henry's injustice pushed him to the edge. Laura stays quiet, her eyes fixed on the floor. The judge isn't swayed. You chose greed over humanity, he says, his voice cutting through the room. Both are sentenced to life without parole. No chance of ever walking free. The gavel falls, and Dayton exhales. But it's not relief, just closure. Bright Co Paints doesn't survive the scandal. The strip mall storefront sits empty, its sign fading under Ohio's gray skies. Sarah Walsh, Henry's widow, can't bear to keep it going. She sells the property at a loss and moves to Florida, chasing a fresh start away from the memories. Friends say she's quieter now, haunted by the betrayal of people Henry once trusted. He worked so hard, she told one reporter. And for what? To die over a few bucks? Sarah's trying to rebuild, but some scars don't fade. Karen Reed, Tammy's mom, channels her grief into something brighter. She starts a scholarship fund in Tammy's name, helping local kids chase college dreams like her daughter did. At the first award ceremony, Karen's voice breaks as she hands out a check. Tammy was my light, she says. This keeps her alive. Dayton rallies around her, but Karen still visits Tammy's grave every Sunday, whispering apologies for a world that let her down. The town feels the ripple effects. Contractors who relied on Brightco scramble for new suppliers. Neighbors swap stories, stunned that Mike and Laura, once the couple everyone envied, could sink so low. Trust phrase in Dayton's tight-knit corners. People lock their doors a little tighter now. That cryptic note with its numbers, 90,000, 45,000, 30,000, becomes a grim legend. A reminder of what ambition can twist into when it's fed by resentment. What's the lesson here? Mike and Laura thought they could shortcut their way to success, that stealing what they felt entitled to would set them free. But greed doesn't build, it destroys. Henry wasn't perfect. His stubbornness lit the fuse. Tammy, though, was innocent, a bystander caught in someone else's war. Hard work, patience, honesty, that's what carves out a real legacy, not a gun and a knife. Dayton's healing slowly, but it'll never forget the night Brightco paints turned red. Let's take a moment. Justice was served, but at what cost? What do you think? Did Henry's choices play a role, or was this all on Mike and Laura? Comment below. And let's talk about what comes next. And there it is, the chilling truth behind the paint store murders. Mike and Laura Bennett thought they could rewrite their story with a gun, a knife, and a bag of cash. Instead, they wrote a tragedy taking Henry Walsh's life, Tammy Reed's future, and their own freedom. Dayton, Ohio is picking up the pieces, but the scars of that October night run deep. Sarah Walsh starts over, far from the store her husband loved. Karen Red keeps Tammy's memory alive, one scholarship at a time. And a town that trusted its neighbors now looks twice at every shadow. This case sticks with you, doesn't it? It's not just about a crime. It's about what happens when ambition twists into something darker. Have you ever felt cheated like Mike and Laura did? Maybe at work where your ideas built someone else's success, but the credit never came. Where's the line between fighting for what's yours and losing yourself to greed? That's the question this story leaves us with. Henry wasn't blameless. He held tight to his empire, blind to the resentment it bred. But Tammy, she was just a kid with dreams caught in a fight that wasn't hers. It makes you wonder, how far would you go to claim what you think you're owed? Before we sign off, let's get you involved. If this story hits you hard, smash that like button. It helps us bring you more true crime tales like this one. Drop a comment. Did Mike and Laura deserve life in prison, or did Henry's stubbornness light the fuse? Maybe you think Tammy's death could have been avoided. What's your take? Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a story, and your voice matters. Let's keep the conversation going. Until then, stay sharp, stay safe, and keep asking yourself, what's the real cost of chasing a dream? Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the comments and back here soon.